Well, hey there, good morning to you. Welcome to Still Up with 6 Thursday edition. Chris Rogers is joining us from home where we keep the conversation going. Hey there, Chris.
Hey there, Audie. Good morning to you. As we say every single day, certainly new things have happened since we last checked in with you. We want to keep you updated, but more than that, we want to answer your questions. We know that there's so much uncertainty right now, and with new details coming out every single day, this gives us an opportunity to answer your questions in real time. And maybe if you weren't able to watch Texas today because you've had your hours cut, you're not getting up as early anymore because you're working from home, that's what we're here for after the show for about 15 minutes or so to answer your questions, talk to you, listen to what you're saying, and hopefully try to provide you some clarity.
And first we want to say good morning to Angela, to Ann. Good morning to you, Michael, and he's joining us from Kepner. Debbie's saying nobody stays home. Yeah, I do think that I'm seeing a lot of people in the parking lots as I drive. Of course, I have to come to the station, so I do have a drive back home, and I do pass a Walmart. I do pass many shopping centers to get to my house, and it seems like people are still out and about, which is not a good thing. Melissa, good morning to you.
Yeah, and as we do every single day, let's get you up to speed on the latest numbers in counties in Central Texas. Total number of cases in McLennan County, now 48. We have 10 more people in Brazos County have tested positive. That's 63 there. Bell County now up to 46 cases. And unfortunately, kind of a sad update for you in Limestone County. We now have our first death there as a result of COVID-19. It was a woman in her late 50s or early 60s. She lived in Mejia. So that's an unfortunate update for you this morning.
And staying on the topic of numbers, we do want to say that more than 5,000 Americans have died from the coronavirus since we last checked in with you. Global cases are expected to hit 1 million later today. Also, we do want to talk about the Midway ISD principal who's tested positive for coronavirus. That's the second thing you should know this morning. So anyone who had contact with Phil is being asked to self-quarantine. And the last thing we want to tell you about for number 3 today is that there's going to be a surge in jobless claims. They estimate about 4 to 5 million. Of course, last week it was a record 3.3 million. So those are the 3 big things, the big headlines this morning on the national level.
Yeah, and speaking of joblessness, unemployment, a comment here from Angela saying, can employees apply for unemployment with all this going on if their hours were cut but they were hired for a part-time position? Angela, it's a good question. We've been getting a lot of unemployment questions. I know that a lot of people have had access access problems on the website as well as getting through to someone on the phone. I'm going to be doing a lot of research today about unemployment, the ins and outs, what you can and can't do, who is eligible, who isn't. So I'll get back to you, but it looks like Tori has responded to you and said yes, so maybe Tori has some insight there. And I'd love to see in the comments here people helping people. If we don't have the answer right away, other people might. And feel free to weigh in, and if you have some insight to some questions that we don't, definitely weigh in if it's accurate.
And we are just giving you guys the numbers that are given to us, of course, from national officials as well as local officials. So those are the numbers that we're reporting based off that information being given to us. Of course, that's the only thing we can do is report to you what's reported to us. And that's our goal here. And that's why we keep the conversation going so we can answer your questions and have the conversations that you want to have.
Yeah, and Michael, as for Michael and Luis's comment, it's a valid comment, and I'll tell you why. As we've reminded you a number of different times on air and here on the show, we are going to see these numbers go up. Of course, there are more coronavirus cases out there. More people are coronavirus positive right now. It is just a matter of getting those tests and those results back. As more tests become available, those numbers will rise. So you are most likely correct. They don't reflect all the cases. Of course, the numbers don't seem accurate. Well, they're accurate in terms of the positive cases that we have right now. Of course, in terms of total scope, there are, the high probability is many more cases of the coronavirus, but we'll still have to wait for those results to confirm.
Yeah, especially because a lot of people don't show symptoms for the first 2 weeks after contracting it. So that's another thing that you have to keep in mind. And some people don't even show any symptoms at all, and then they pass it on to someone who does, who then tests positive. So it's a whole chain reaction, and I can see why the numbers don't seem like the real numbers out there right now.
Yeah, Heidi, something I really want to touch on this morning for some of our older viewers, some of our viewers who are on Social Security. If you remember last week, I verified that if you are on Social Security, you are eligible for that stimulus check. That will be coming your way, and you won't have to even file a simple tax return to get it. There was some confusion yesterday about whether or not you might have to file a simple tax return if you're on Social Security, but then the White House and the administration came out and confirmed that if you are on Social Security, you are eligible for that stimulus check, you will receive it, and you do not have to take any action in order to receive it. They have your information through the Social Security system, and you will get that check without taking any action on your end. So if you're seeing reports that maybe you have to file a tax return, maybe you have to get in contact with the government, we can confirm to you, you do not have to file a simple tax return if you are on Social Security or disability.
And that was part of, what was part of your Verify today? Was that the main focus today? Because I know now you've gotten down to a point where you kind of are getting all the questions that you're seeing being asked so frequently and putting them all into one kind of segment. So what can you tell us about Verify in that sense?
Well, the Verify we focused on today, and sometimes I have to take a kind of a step away from the the questions that you guys are asking and focus on some of the videos or some of the content that you send me. Today's I focused on because it's been viewed more than 2.2 million times on Facebook. Certainly plenty of you might have seen this video circulating. It's a chiropractor claiming to tell the truth about the coronavirus, and a couple of different claims that we verified as absolutely false. One, with the first claim that temperatures of 80 degrees kill the virus. CDC says they currently don't know how temperatures or weather will impact that. Another claim that sunny weather will kill the virus. The WHO tells us that it doesn't matter if it's sunny, if it's rainy, you still have the same chances of catching the virus, sunlight or not. Another one, that stomach acid can kill, or hot water. Health departments across the country, as well as the CDC and WHO, confirm that's not the case. I mean, the kind of hot water that you'd have to consume to potentially kill the virus is 132 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, that's scalding hot water. You wouldn't want to drink that. And finally, and there's been a lot of questions about the death rate. There was a claim that only 2% death rate in people with compromised immune systems. That is wildly inaccurate. The death rate right now is a little bit less than somewhere between 3.5 and 5% based on the last findings from the WHO.
So that was today's Verify, and of course there's Chris's contact information where you can reach him, send him your questions before you share any misinformation online. Let's see some comments coming here. I know, Michael, you were just pointing out that, you know, the numbers don't really reflect that because, you know, there's still people who need to get tested. I understood your comment. Let's see. Francis saying if you stay at home, you don't have to worry about getting tested. It's not the people delivering your news' fault. Tell your friends, family to stay home, and your chances of getting it will lessen. Yes, that is why we do have a shelter-in-place order in most of our counties here in Central Texas. And just stay home if you can. I know there are circumstances where you can't stay home. There are going to be those essential trips to the grocery stores that you have to go to. So it's understandable why some people are out and about, but yeah, if you can, stay home.
All right, let me get to some real questions real quick to answer real quick, rapid fire. Rebecca asked when we can expect to receive the stimulus checks. They're working on that right now, hopefully by mid-April. I do want to point out to you, viewers at home, if you have filed online and the IRS has your direct deposit information on file, you will get your stimulus check faster than those of you who might have filed through the mail, just because they already have your direct deposit information, so they won't have to mail it out to you. Now, Donald asks, does the virus mainly affect a certain age group? I can tell you this, everyone is susceptible to this virus, Donald. Now, in terms of fatalities, of course, the older demographic of people is more susceptible to perhaps underlying health conditions that could be harmful to you if you contract this virus. So that would be probably what you're hearing. In terms of a cure or treatments, they are working on a number of different things. I know that there was some hope, a glimmer of hope coming out after some French research pointed pointed towards 2 antibiotics, that combination could potentially be the answer. It is too early on right now to determine whether or not that is a definitive answer to the coronavirus. More testing needs to be done. Right now they are seeing some serious side effects from that kind of treatment, so whether or not that's the answer moving forward remains to be seen.
And as you mentioned, Chris, with Donald's question about certain age groups, actually this morning the WHO came out and said that 95% of people who have died in Europe were over the age of 60. So that's a huge number of the population that has passed away from coronavirus being over the age of 60.
What do us regular people do to get stimulus? I haven't filed yet. I normally try to file on the last day, Shayna. It's a good question. If you're under that salary, that $75,000 salary cap, you will still be eligible for it, whether or not your job was affected by the coronavirus. If you haven't filed your taxes, I would encourage you to file as soon as you can. Now, if you don't file before they start sending out the stimulus checks, they'll just take your information from last year's tax filing. So, Shayna, you will get a stimulus check in terms of filing if you've had significant information that has changed since the last time you filed your taxes, be it an address change, direct deposit information change. You might want to file sooner rather than later. If none of that has really changed, you're going to get it based on last year's tax return.
Christine says, I know some nurses have been told they have to use their PTO or sick time if they are required to self-quarantine. Is that true of other employees who are not in medical health? I think it just depends on the company that you work for. For example, the company that we work for here at KCEN will give us the 2-week period to self-quarantine if we need to, and they will pay us during that time. So it really just depends on what company you work for.
Tori's thanking us for the updates, and she's trying to stay informed. Hey, I appreciate your kind words, Tori. That really does mean a lot. We're trying, of course, to keep you updated around the clock. And she's also asking, will the schools be closed for the remainder of the year? Right now, a lot of schools continue to push back their restart date. There is no official word yet. I want to reiterate that. No official word that schools will be closed for the rest of the year, but we have been telling parents to prepare for that possibility. Now, I do want to remind you, we have no insider knowledge as to whether or not that will be the case, but if we look and study and analyze the way that things have been moving and the way these timelines have been pushed back, and even compare it to timelines in countries that have gone through this before, the indicator would be that schools most likely would be closed for the rest of the year. Again, no official word if that is the case or not in local school districts.
Yeah, and also we want to look to the other states around us who are also dealing with the coronavirus. I know just yesterday, California as a state has canceled classes in the classrooms for the rest of the year. So for the rest of the school year, I should add. So if we are looking at other states and what they're doing, we can, kind of get an idea as to what's coming for us here in Texas.
Donald says, maybe you can all clear this up also. Is there a definitive reason people are saying that the coronavirus isn't as deadly or as serious as the flu, H1N1, SARS, etc.? Donald, I can tell you this. I know that a lot of people are comparing this to the flu. What I can tell you about the flu is that there is a definitive answer, which we know is the flu vaccine. That is the way that most people avoid the flu. Now, in terms of more dangerous, certainly right now the fatality rate is slightly higher than we see with the flu every single year. I think the big underlying issue here is we don't have an answer for this yet. We don't have a definitive way to prevent this yet. So as for why people might say it's more dangerous, that would definitely be an underlying reason, because we don't have an answer yet, and medical officials are working on that. Of course, they still tell the White House right now it may be as long as a year before we have a vaccine for this.
And Jason says, I live in Killeen, and daily I go out to find Lysol wipes and toilet paper. Ideas with a lot of question marks. Jason, I will say toilet paper has been one of the hardest things to find. I know even with the restocking that the stores are doing, toilet paper is still one of the items that they're not finding. We're not finding at the stores, but I will say, Jason, if you have a community group in Killeen, to join that online. It could be on Facebook or through an app, and usually neighbors are really good at posting the local spots that do have the items you need. So that's some advice for you there.
And we also I want to use this as a reminder to you people out there that there are people like Jason and so many other people that are going out daily to try to find these essential items. Do not hoard these items. If you see them stocked in your store, get 2, 3, 4 rolls of toilet paper maybe, but don't take the whole stock. Other people need these things, desperately need these things. So I know it might be tempting if you get lucky enough to get out there and see a restock, to get as much as you can. That is so damaging to so many people who need these items in this community.
And we do want to share our story to make you smile today. It was about a local cow in a local neighborhood in Temple at the North Cliff subdivision that allows you to come and feed it. So something for the kiddos to do in that neighborhood. It's bringing a lot of smiles. The owner of the cow has actually put out this box there. Kids go in there, they grab some treats and they hand it over to the cow, and there's some hand sanitizer there as well, and they are still practicing social distancing, even though you can see some of the kids close to the cow there. The parents were reminding them time after time to separate, and there was hand sanitizer there. So pretty cool that it's bringing smiles and giving the kiddos something fun to do outdoors. So that's our reason to smile today. It's Daisy the cow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you guys have more questions. Hey, keep those questions coming. crogers2@kcntv.com is the address for your verified questions. We do have to wrap things up here on a Thursday morning, but we'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, 4:30 to 7 a.m. on Texas Today. And, of course, right after the show here on Still Up with 6.